We're trying to get to the point to where when a service tech goes to the farm, all they have to do is basically just click on a button and it populates all that data automatically into a form, and then their role then becomes evaluating chickens and talking with the grower, and that's how you really help a farmer is by seeing what's going on inside that chicken house with those chickens, and making adjustments, not just sitting there taking numbers down on a sheet of paper. That's really not helping anybody. So
welcome, everyone. This is MTech Podcast. My name is Nikolai Shitichin, and I have Jim Johnston as a co-host here, and we have Josh Ashworth today as a guest. How you doing, gents, today?
Yeah, good, Nick.
Great. Thanks for having me.
All right. Yeah, we're really excited to talk to you. We like to talk about chicken. We like to talk about industry, and today we have a perfect candidate for that. So, Josh, my first question, as usual, how you started with chickens. And I know you've been working for quite a lot, and you've been, how many years you've been with the industry?
I've been altogether about 20 years in the industry from starting to where I'm at today.
All right. And I guess we skipped a little bit of proper introduction. Jim, do you want to fill in this?
Yeah, let's go for it. I mean, Josh Ashford, I've known for a little while now at MTech. He's currently MTech's Sonar Echo consultant. I've been doing that job for 3 years, Josh. And that means that gets you into a lot of chicken farms, gets you talking to farmers, various contract growers, supplying the big integrators within the US. So we're really interested to hear a little bit more about that today.
Yeah, so, and this is where I get to my first question. Josh, how you started with the industry and why you started working with the chickens, with farms, and what kept you here in this industry for this many years?
After I got out of school, I had a roommate that worked for a local integrator here in Georgia. He actually worked in the processing plant. And one day we were trying to figure out what I needed to do in my life. And he said that I ought to send my resume to the integrator. And I did. And a few months later, next thing I know, I was servicing broilers. I stayed in the broiler department for nearly 11 and a half years. And then I I leased a farm from a guy for it was a short amount of time, probably about a year. The guy had declining health problems and didn't want to shut his houses down. So I leased his houses from him. So I actually have been on the poultry side of things from the integrator's perspective, and I've had a firsthand account from the grower's perspective as well. And that's kind of how it led into me getting with MTech. I was doing the broiler service thing, and the technology that we were using was starting to evolve. We were getting away from carbon copy paper and pen and pencil and moving more toward, digital organization of our service reports and data that we were gathering. And I just thought it was a cool thing and sent MTech my resume, and they offered me a job, and I've been here for about 3 years now.
Oh, gee, that's really good. I'm excited to hear. I didn't realize you'd actually were a grower. So that's fantastic. You're a true chicken guy. And just tell us a little bit, Josh, in your experience, because around the world, integrations and growers and how we grow chickens is slightly different models that are used. And the US is quite unique in some respects in terms of how it structures and runs its integrated poultry model. So I'm really interested in understanding how that's structured. What roles are there from farmer through into the integrator? Service techs is a title that really is only a US title. So tell me a bit more about all of that.
Yeah, Jim, I think it was during the 40s, between the 40s and 60s, poultry in the U.S. became integrated. And, around here where I'm at, there's a lot of farming. Most of it was cattle farming. I think there was some cotton farming where I'm at years ago. And the growers or the farmers looked at integrated poultry as a guaranteed paycheck. So I think there was a lot of people here, that didn't want to have to worry about the, market prices. So they got into poultry, and that I think started just a big boom here in the South specifically. I know there's a large concentration of chickens all over the United States, but in the South here it's really thick, and it was good for the grower to be able to know that it was almost like a one-stop shop, as far as being able to get his chickens from the hatchery and get his feed from the feed mill and then sell his chickens to the same outfit. So it just seemed like a low stress, low risk job to do. So that's kind of how it started around here, and it really took off. The techs, I think, come into play because there is competition, amongst the growers. We're set up here. Most integrators are set up with what they call tournament pay, where the growers, compete against each other. They're trying to produce, meat, poultry meat at the lowest possible cost for the company. And when they achieve that goal, they get rewarded for it, financially in their pay. So the role of the tech kind of come into play to ensure that, one, the grower is providing the birds with the proper animal, their and also, to make sure that they were following the integrator's program so that they could, maximize their profit by reducing the overall cost. So, I mean, it's a pretty neat, setup to me. I've been fascinated with it since I first stepped in a chicken house and felt like it was something that, I would want to be involved in. And that's kind of why I ended up leasing a house. So, I had done this job as a tech trying to help somebody, but I wanted to see if I could kind of put, my money where my mouth is, if that makes sense, as far as being able to grow a chicken. So that's kind of how it got to where it is today.
Well, that's really interesting, and it's quite a good structure, especially for the farmers, right? And integrator is also quite ensured that they will have the proper product and the chicken will be raised properly with the help of service techs. So on the farmer side, are there any kind of co-ops or organizations for the farmers? And also, who is driving the competition here? Or is it farmer competing for the integrator, or it's integrator who is competing to get the good farmer?
I would say in general, it's probably the integrator is competing to get the farmer. I mean, to be honest with you, and Jim's been in and around the poultry business for years. It's kind of cyclical, the business. I mean, it has its ups and downs, and it kind of the demand for growers and housing is kind of the same way. I mean, there's times when integrators can't get enough square footage to find where places to put chickens, and then there's other times where they go years. Some of them go years without building new houses. So I don't really understand the logic behind that as far as why there are so many ups and downs, but it seems like in the 20 years that I've been exposed to it, it's just kind of hit or miss. Usually whoever has the most lucrative, contract, which integrator pays the best, usually gets, pretty much the best growers. I mean, that's not always the case, of course. There are growers that have been working for these integrators and growing for them for 30 plus years, and they're loyal, and they're going to stay. Right. But, the pay has gotten, substantially better than what it was, a few years ago. And, but with that being said, I've had growers that told me that, they put 2 kids through college back in the 80s, and had plenty of money to take the wife out to dinner. So it's been a very lucrative business. And I think, the competition that you kind of mentioned, I think drives that. So yeah, it's they're kind of on their own, the growers. They're really. I did hear that there was like a grower kind of coalition, I guess, if you will, union type stuff, but that was out west. We don't have that here in the South. the growers, they're kind of, there's the Georgia Poultry Federation, is a nonprofit, kind of advocacy group for the growers, and they kind of step in and make sure that the growers are, kind of looked after as far as their interests go. But other than that, that's just kind of how it works.
Okay, that's really interesting, Josh. Now, your role at the moment, I guess, is looking at technology and applying technology into some of these grower farms and stuff. But just generally, I mean, what sort of tech is out there? How is that helping the farmers? And what are they really excited about in terms of the use of technology to help them improve their performance?
Well, Jim, in the past, the farm has kind of been considered a data-rich area, but somewhat of a black hole as far as, in terms of connection back to the integrator. So the farmer and the integrator both have a desire for that data to get back to those companies. As far as like a service tech's role, they go out in the field and they document, the temperature, the humidity, all the environmental factors that are going on in the house. They document it on a service report, and then they take it back to the office and file it and keep it, for future reference. But with the new technology, we're trying to, automate a lot of that process. We're trying to get to the point to where when a service tech goes to the farm, all they have to do is basically just click on a button and it populates all that data automatically into a form, and then their role then becomes evaluating chickens and talking with the grower, and that's how you really help a farmer is by seeing what's going on inside that chicken house with those chickens, and making adjustments, not just sitting there taking numbers down on a sheet of paper. That's really not helping anybody. So with that being said, I think that's the big thing that's come up lately is being able to connect those farms through IoT mainly directly to the integrator. So that frees up the service tech to be able to do his job more effectively. And everybody's excited about that. I mean, I know that seems like it probably benefits the integrator maybe a little bit more than the grower, but we're able to send inventories out of the feed bins down directly to the feed mill without the grower having to call in, or even climbing the feed bin. I mean, they got their feed inventories on their phone these days, and that inventory goes directly to the feed mill. So, that kind of technology is making the job of growing chickens easier. Everything in the house, of course, that can be is pretty much automated, run by computers these days. And in those computers, the growers are able to, to evaluate what's going on inside the chicken houses without, having to stick their head in the door, every 10, 15, 20 minutes, however frequently they felt like they had to in the past. Now they can, do other stuff on the farm and not have to feel tied down to the houses quite as much as they used to. So I think all the technology is a real good thing for growers and integrators alike. And I think everybody seems to be really excited to see what's coming next. And I don't know that I have that answer either, but it's just really, really interesting.
Yeah, but technology is always interesting and it's always exciting, but it's also sometimes can feel a little bit complicated, right? So do you see that trend that farmers and growers are accepting technology and wanting to have technology more and more?
Yeah, I would say in general, I think the grower base is starting to become a little bit younger, and I don't mean that disrespectful toward anybody that's been growing chickens for years, but I think with a newer generation of chicken growers, they want the technology. They don't want to be, like I mentioned a minute ago, tied down 24/7 to a chicken house. Of course, the technology, don't get me wrong, will never take the place of eyes on chickens. I mean, as far as a tech's role or a grower's role, it doesn't matter what technology we have out there. Somebody is going to have to go inside that chicken house and evaluate that those chickens are, healthy and how they're doing. So So yeah, I mean, I would say that the younger, newer generation of chicken growers are craving or hungry for the technology. The IoT solutions like MTech offers. That's right up their alley. You get a little bit more, I guess, not resistance, but I would say apprehension from the older generation of grower. But that's kind of my job, is to get out there in front of these guys and men and women and explain to them how this technology actually benefits them. And it's not that Big Brother's trying to look over their shoulder. There's a lot of that kind of mentality that goes along with some of this technology, but this is, it's just not the case. It's to benefit, not to harm. So that's kind of how I see it.
Well, hey, Josh, I mean, that's cool. And just, it's been a real pleasure talking to you today on the podcast. And I mean, we've covered quite a lot. 20 years history in chickens. I guess you bring a lot to your current job in terms of hands-on experience of working with growers in your previous employment. And then, actually being a grower, which is great to know as well. So you tried to put your money where your mouth is in terms of understanding how it's done. That's great. So that brings a lot of experience to your present role. It's really interesting, and thanks for explaining the service tech role to me, because that was kind of new terminology, and I hear it in America, but I don't hear it elsewhere. So that was good. So I now understand what a service tech's role is in an organization. So I appreciate that. Good to talk about your experiences too of the technology that you're currently implementing on farms and farmers are excited about. And you ended up with a very important role. It's trying to educate farmers, I guess, and not be scared of technology, but try and educate them so that they can feel confident using it, but they also then see the benefits of using it. So that's a very important role. Nice to end off there too. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was great talking to you, Josh. And for those who are watching this episode online, not to miss any new episodes, please join us on social media. We are on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram. And see you next week.
See you next week, Nick. Thanks, Josh.